Well, let's now speak to Sishuwa. Sishuwa, he is a lecturer in African history at the University of Zambia, and he focuses on Zambian politics and history. He joins us now from Cape Town. I want to start with Kaunda's legacy in Zambia, because it is a bit of a mixed bag, right? He was a liberator, but also an authoritarian leader, but then he left when defeated at the ballot box, and the economy didn't fare too well under his leadership either.
That's right. He's a figure, the complex figure that he was many things, was different things at different times. In Zambia, his legacy on the positive side is that he's credited to have united Zambia into a meeting place and a celebration of diversity that the country is today in terms of ethnic groupings. You know, Zambia has 73 ethnic groupings, for example, and it was Kaunda and his friends in the nationalist organization that led Zambia from 1964 to 1991 that he presided over the unification of these diverse ethnic groups into a coherent national identity. Mm-hmm. And when you hear Zambians today saying, you know, one Zambia, one nation, it is to Kaunda's credit that he presided over that unification. But also Kaunda was credited with massive investment in social services, education, health, and road infrastructure, as well as the fact that even the University of Zambia, where I teach, was constructed by his government in the first 8 years of independence. These services were provided to Zambians from primary education to university for free. And the generation of Zambians, they cannot imagine that these services, education and health, now exorbitant, were once free. So Zambians look back to the Kaunda years as the dividend years in terms of the nation's development.
Sure.
But also many Zambians...
I'm sorry, Sishuwa, I do want to ask you as well, because you mentioned there huge investments in services, but also in infrastructure. He also was quite the diplomat, and he invited a huge amount of Chinese investment into the region, and that's become rather controversial. How's that now regarded?
At the time, in the 60s and 70s, China wasn't a major player in Zambian life as it is today. The recent penetration of Chinese capital in Zambia is something that can be traced to the early 2000s. Under Kaunda, you know, his legacy it has much to do with the Southern African region, where he poured Zambia's resources, as we saw in the video, to the liberation of Southern African countries. He's a larger-than-life figure in Zimbabwe, in South Africa, in Namibia, in Angola, in Mozambique, because he prosecuted the liberation of these countries. Many liberation movements were hosted in Zambia, and their leadership went to schools in Zambia for free. And Zambians, I think that remember this period as their major contribution to the liberation struggle of Southern Africa. And I do think that, you know, in a fair world, Kaunda would have actually won a Nobel Peace Prize for his contribution to the liberation of Southern Africa. The China question is something that is more recent. At the time, you know, Kaunda was part of the leader of the non-aligned movement, mm-hmm. And during the Cold War politics, he was an international statesman who negotiated complex issues, who rose above the division that were characteristic of that time, to talk to people like Ian Smith in Zimbabwe, you know, John Foster in South Africa, because he believed that negotiations ultimately is key to the end of minority rule in these regions. And without reaching out to other people, including those who are your opponents, you won't achieve much.
Well, he's clearly left a huge, huge legacy indeed, including for the entire region. Sishuwa there from the University of Zambia. Great to get your thoughts with us on Al Jazeera. Thank you for joining us, sir.